sanctions. Primary sanctions are sanctions placed on Iran from the United Nations Security Council. Secondary sanctions are sanctions unilaterally placed on Iran by US and Israel. Termination of all UN Security Council resolution. The Security Council has passed several resolutions against Iran. But Iran says all the previous resolutions that were signed against it at the United Nations Security Council should be abrogated. Termination of all IAEA Board of Governors resolution. The International Atomic Energy Agency has what we call Board of Governors. Just like in our university, we have council, right? Now, the Board of Governors is the highest decision-making body of the IAEA. The Director General of IAEA doesn't have the right to take decisions. Key decisions are taken by the Board of Governors. If a matter needs to be referred to the Security Council, it is the head of the Board of Governors of the IAEA that is only allowed by international law to take matters to the Security Council. Payment of compensation to Iran, and this is a big problem. It is doable, meaning that Iran will assess all the destructions, not only in Iran, but in Syria of the Houthis, in Lebanon of the Hezbollah, destruction in Gaza. The payment is not expected to be done now. Let people understand. Agreement will be entered and the period of execution will be stated. It could be as far as 20 years. But from where will the money come? This will also go into diplomatic negotiation. What I do believe is that America will ask all the Arab countries to contribute towards the compensation of Iran. And they have to do that because they have sold their rights. Now, withdrawal of U.S. combat forces from the region, You see, as I stated earlier, the Middle East, from Syria, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Kuwait, Iraq, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. The U.S. has placed bases, military bases, just to cycle not only Iran, but their target is Soviet Union. It has also one of the biggest military bases in the Guam. There's a Guam Island close to Japan with over 15,000 soldiers and very high military equipment. Then the last, not the least, is a cessation of war on all fronts, including against the heroic Islamic resistance of Lebanon, which is the Hezbollah, right? So at this point, as we said, it's usually the tradition in the university system. If you make presentation like this, since it's not an inaugural lecture, and since we say that we are going to look at it critically, I will only say thank you for listening as we continue engaging.
Thank you for this brilliant presentation. I'm sure we have learned a lot today. We have learned political geography and why geography is important. And I will recommend a book, Revenge of Geography. More what Professor Jiddere has said, and we understand more why geography matters in all we do. I think we should give, why is Professor Jiddere? So I think we'll give him another round of applause. You see, that is what I have been thinking since we started. since this issue started, I was asking what is called science. So social sciences, what are they doing up to now? They didn't call us and talk to us. Thank you. We called you, Prof. Jiddere, and you talked to us. Thank you so much. Now we will call the discussant, Dr. Muhammad Usman Ibrahim from the Department of Physics, to discuss the paper. You know, we are talking about nuclear. In addition to other things he's going to talk about, I'm sure he's going to talk more on the nuclear perspective. Doctor, you're welcome.
And I know he did not actually recognize us, because when he was teaching us, we were like toddlers in the undergraduate level around 2003. And then I was thinking, Prof have come of age, but I can still remember the kind of spirit that he has actually put into us to understand. We are from sciences. Normally, all we know is dy dx. And then, but when it comes to political aspect, I think I would like to appreciate Professor, and I can still remember that he's still as active as he was. And I pray that, so please, I will appreciate that we appreciate Professor for the wonderful presentation. I was like, let me come and discuss. I was asking my friend, Dr. Murtala, how can I fit into an erudite professor of this nature? As somebody now standing into this, I don't have anything to add. But since it's an intellectual gathering, and then probably I can hide in the corner of science and then put a word or two, because to hit the nail on the head, Professor have done excellent. He has taught virtually everything that needs to be discussed. So probably I will just kind of add a word or two. Let me start on the basis of nuclear. I'm a physicist and then a student of nuclear science. So definitely if I will talk, probably I will try to incline in that perspective. Probably the first thing is, when we say nuclear, what do we mean? Because as related, because we are talking serious in the environmental aspect. So knowing that we are going to see how we can actually bring into to take a word or two, so that we can actually look in our future to see what we can actually gain from it. First and foremost, as I said, nuclear. Nuclear is something very, very small. I think in the world of science, when you are talking about nuclear, we call it the physics of the small. Something very, very tiny. Yet, its effect is so magnanimous that it can destroy and then create life. So I may not want to, as a student of nuclear science, I always, this thing keep coming. When we discuss with some of our colleagues, and then you ask them nuclear, the first thing that comes to people's mind is destruction. When you say, what do you know about nuclear science? Everybody will say atomic bomb. And I think it's not an out of place if people look at it. As rightly pointed out from the professor's discussion, you will see in the history of the earth itself, the only nuclear bomb that was detonated was only done twice. And it was done by US. And what should I call it? The impact is so scary that people cannot forget it. Yet, the advantages that you can take out of it is also, let me give an analogy. We know, probably if we go into the history of Kano State, we know when we have problem of irrigation in Kura local government. It was a tug of war. But today, if you try to take away that irrigation system from them, they will fight you back. What am I trying to say? Irrigation was not accepted before then. But now, the positive aspect of it has come to stay. Not saying that Irrigation doesn't have its own bad side. I know from the geography, agri perspective, they will agree with me. The Hadeja Dam, that is Hadeja Jam'are Dam, if for incidents it breaks, that is breaking of a dam, then the whole of Kano State will cease to exist. This is how catastrophic it is if a dam breaks. But yet, we can still say we can have power, we can do cultivation and other things like that. So coming back to the topic itself, nuclear. Nuclear, as we are saying, it has its own pros and cons. And then why am I saying this? Somebody was saying, in whatever you take, even in war, there are benefits. It's a matter of us to look inward and then know how we will say. Prof was saying that why is it that you are the only country who have attacked, who have claimed veto power, yet you are afraid of it? It's because, and then let me add something again at this point. Nuclear technology is just about the knowledge. And then I think in Hausal Adage, that is what they said, Yaki dan Zambani. Nobody will bring out all its arsenal. People hide. Those who have nuclear weapon are much, but they choose not to come forth because of some reasons, which Prof have said some of them. Apart from only that, we know that if you have the knowledge, Prof said something about threshold. Threshold is a line where you migrate from one phase to the other. If I can already know that the ladies have already cooked, you have already prepared everything. It's all about assembling. I think it's not something. And then if we also look inward, don't go too far. We have in our midst who is late. We pray for his departed soul, Professor Bichi, I.H. Umar. He was the board of directors of IAEA. At a point in time, Al-Baradi was his boy. And then at a point in time, wherever he is going, they will make sure there is surveillance on him. I was privileged to be his student, and then we in the same department after his retirement. So if we can have such people, what am I driving at? That's why I said Prof have already said it all. Nuclear technology is scary, because if you can quantify the magnitude of the energy that can actually be generated from nuclear, then you can otherwise think of the catastrophic nature of it. Let me give you another simple example. We are facing with a problem of power in Nigeria. But do we know that a simple cup of tea of hydrogen water, that is heavy water, can power old side and new side together for more than 50 years? For more than 50 years. And then sometimes people get to fear that what if we start doing this and there is issue of not control? Please, I'll disagree with that. How I wish Professor Arabi is here, who has worked in the Nirwan for a very long period of time. He knows that if you are dealing with nuclear technology, the only basic difference is in the harnessing, and that is the tail end. If you create a rich mass, critical mass, all you need to do is the energy at the tail end is what you define what you are going to use it for. Are you going to use it for weaponry? Are you going to use it for power? Are you going to use it for research? Are you going to use it for agriculture? That is what it defines. So that's why sometimes if they said the treaty that was signed that you can do A, B, C, but when you come to point D, C, E, you cannot execute. That is pure monopoly. Because they know themselves that if you can reach that particular point, nobody can control you. Nobody. And then I like so much about Professor Stock, because he said there is the political will. It's not all about the capability and ability. Even if you have the technical know-how, did you have the ability and the political will to execute it? For example, we have been operating Nirwan for more than 20 years. We do not have a single incident. A single incident. When we say we have an incident, the most frequent problem that we have with respect to nuclear is even the failure of powers. For example, Prof was talking about testing. Some school of thought are of the belief that the tsunami that used to happen was a test of nuclear weaponry. It's not ordinary. Maybe the media can decide to come out and say probably it's just because of the tectonic shift A, B, C, and D. Some are like that. But some, it's as a result of testing of the nuclear bomb, then the tsunami activity takes place. What am I driving at? What I'm driving at is Nigeria can look inward. We know the issue of nuclear bomb or nuclear weapon is scary, yes. Because if I will start talking about it, normal conventional war will only have an effect of maybe landmass, morphological disorder, and then maybe scariness. But if you are talking about weapon of nuclear, now you are talking about mass. You can see how the little boy was a kind of destroying a large site of Mars. That's not just it. That's just the lethal aspect. The lethal aspect. You can have generation yet unborn radiation. If something if radiation keep emanating, then it goes through what in sciences we say we have 3 stages of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. This one goes through the gaseous stage, and then it keep emanating. And then probably if the lethal aspect happen, it's immediate. Maybe it destroyed the land, it destroyed the people, and some people, maybe 500 people died. But if it is detonated, generations are wiped out. Generations are wiped out. So the issue of weaponry, to me, is purely political. Purely political. Because as Prof said it at the tail end, that if the best way is to disarm all the last nuclear weapons on ground. I know in Hausa land we used to say, if somebody wants to attack you and he knows what you have, definitely you think twice before he attacks you. So if we all agree and we know the hypocrisy of the nature now, somebody can come to even lie is something novel to some of the people in the East. Sorry about that. In the West, sorry, because somebody will tell you I don't have A, B, C, D. While because nuclear science is very obvious. We know science is one way. We know if I look at your soil texture, from the amount of radiation emanating from your region, I can be able to establish whether you have critical mass. And if I know you have a critical mass, from the amount of radiation you are emanating, I should be able to know this is the level at which it is. If I know this is the level at which it is, then I can establish whether you are going to use this for power or you are going to use this for weapon of mass destruction. So it's something, if to say honesty is going to hold, then definitely there is nothing that cannot be sorted out. So as I've said earlier, I'm just trying to hide the corner of science and then add a word or two. But Prof have said it all. He have done justice to the paper and have done a lot of things. Maybe when I sit down, I have a lot of questions that I have written for Prof. So I would like to take my seat. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. So nuclear is not all bad. It can be used for peace.
Yes.
And why nuclear bomb was developed, I think we go back to the first one part.
Yes. Hence, bank uncertainty principle.
Others. They said Germany was about to develop a nuclear weapon. And that is why scientists convinced the United States to develop its nuclear weapon first before Germany. And they did what they did. And as he said, it's a deterrence. If I have it, I'm safe. Like Russia, they don't come out before they have it.
I have a manga.
If for any reason, Russia was attacked, or is attacked by nuclear weapons.
By nuclear weapons, and everybody who is supposed to take decision is dead. They have programmed their nuclear weapons to sense where the nuclear come from.
and they will activate themselves and they will attack back. That's what we call dead hand. So that is how prepared they are. And what the world is showing us today is if you are not powerful, you are on your own. You can't afford not to be powerful. Sana Abacha was making efforts towards nuclear when he was the head of state. The rest is history. Thank you very much. I think we will now open for questions, comments, so that the presenter or the discussant can respond to them. So maybe we start from my right hand here. Okay, there are written questions. Okay. Can we start with the written or disaster? Okay, we have a number of written questions. I don't know who they are addressed to, but maybe between you, everybody can take. The first one is, where in Africa in the whole of the equation? Why is Africa in the whole of this equation? Where are we? And we are one of the major sources of uranium. Ishak, not Ishak, Murtalako. You remember in Ruru Eko? There is a place that people don't go. When people go, when they come back, they die. Actually, there was uranium there. So everywhere we have uranium. Africa. So why is Africa? I think that would be a question. Are we inactive or inactive variable in the equation? Wannan rubutun dai na kasa karanta.
Is it not time Africa yet to pass any danger to current?
No.
Then what can you say about global scramble of resources and insurgency and banditry in Nigeria? He wants to know about the connection of these issues with the nuclear issue.
Okay, thank you. So these are maybe how many we will take. Few questions you answer, then we can go to second round. Okay, here. Any questions from this side? Question or? Aha. Okay. Okay.
This morning I was watching the news and I saw decline in the price of oil as a result of the ceasefire. Okay. We saw the decline, sharp decline, and the stock market scrambled to increase. So I'm asking, what is the implication for this ceasefire on our energy sustainability? Because even yesterday we had gas discoveries off the coast of Egypt. And of course, we know that Nigeria now is, we have this, we are becoming self-sufficient with regards to energy resources. We have Dangote with the. So this is fire. What's the implication for our energy demands? Because that's what concerns the man on the street. He doesn't know about proliferation of nuclear weapons, but he's concerned about how this war affects the petrol he buys in his vehicle. So with this ceasefire and possibly what's going to happen in the future, how does it affect our energy demands, and of course, how can we move forward towards counteract in the future? Good recommendations and so forth. Thank you.
I have two questions. One is addressed to Professor and the second to the discussant. Prof, I must say a big thank you because I've learned a lot. How soon will this war bring the petrodollar to an end and the emergency of the petro-yuan? Because in your lecture, you said it is targeted on economic dominance to bring an end to petrodollar, then an evolution of petro-yuan or other emerging currency. The second question goes to Dr. Usman, a nuclear physicist. Doctor, we've been hearing about ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles. Could you please put more light so that the ordinary layman can understand these two concepts clearly? Thank you.
I think I can stand here, right? Oh, let me begin with the question on Africa. You see, there is no general theory of security. Security to any entity is based on the circumstance of that particular entity. What is a security challenge in Africa may not be necessarily a security challenge in Europe, may not be a security challenge in the US, may not be a security challenge in Europe, in Asia. All African countries are developing societies, are developing states. Our security concern should be based on fundamental issues of survival. What is happening to poverty? What is happening to hunger? What is happening to inequality? What is happening to injustice? This should be our concern. Do people eat well? To eat and have a full stomach doesn't mean you have eaten well. Eating well is to have a balanced diet. Many people in Nigeria today don't sleep completely. Wherever you are, even if you are inside the university, any small movement you think is a thief. In the mosque, if someone comes with this bomb, you are praying, but your eyes will be looking like this. So some part of the world, this is not a problem. So for Africa, we need to redefine what are our security priorities. You put your security scale of your priorities, one of which we all know, food insecurity, human security, before you even begin to talk about national security. What is happening to justice and injustices? Why are some people poor? And why are some people accumulate and they have more than what they need? Now, the question asked by that fellow about the sensitivity of oil, you've seen it dropping. Oil is a commodity. And when we say commodity in international system, we mean something that nobody determines its price. Its price is determined by market forces. And market forces in economics is simply the question of demand and supply. If the supply is enough and the demand is low, the price will fall. If the supply is low, the demand is high, the price will go up. And oil price is usually done in what we call stock exchange. But oil, as you see it today, globally, is determined by 7 oil companies, 7 sisters. Exxon, Mobil, Shell, and many others. I've forgotten the full name, but 7. And that price of oil is also futuristic. It's not because they say, okay, oil is now $120 per barrel. It's not that you are going to buy today. It's falling because there is an expectation. Very soon, in less than 2, 3, or 4 days or 1 week, the supply will come more from the Persian Gulf because there are many ships that have loaded and they cannot move. So the traffic will go and the international market will be glutted with oil. So when the supply is high and the demand remains where it is, the prices would naturally come down. Now, for an ordinary man, there are so many things that happen around him. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know how his government takes decisions. He doesn't know the dialectics between life and death. He doesn't know the demands that go into government, the output that comes out of the government, the support government gets, the criticism government gets. He always sits at the back bench in the rough game of society. So he's always the final taker. So hardly will he know, and he will always be wondering about all this thing. And let me assist my brother on the ballistic missiles and others, which of course I know is not his area, it's my area. It's a weapon system. Weapons are divided into categories. There's the one we say conventional weapons, and there's what we refer to as WMDs, weapons of mass destruction. Now, in conventional weapons, you use weapons whose effect can be estimated. With a calculation we do, we call it circular error probability calculus in war. And there's also what we call war arithmetic. And also, we also say, we talk about precision bombing. You target a particular area or particular object or particular building, and you will exactly strike that building without maybe touching the next building. And that's precision bombing. So if you take precision bombing, war mathematics, and circular error probability calculus is when you will determine how to even fire your missile. And most of the missiles today, they use what we call space radar. Yeah, some of them are thermosensitive. But missiles are categorized into three. There's a short-range missile, there's a middle-range missile, and there's IBCM, intercontinental ballistic missiles. Now, even the intercontinental ballistic missiles today, they have been advanced, they have been improved. The hypersonic you are saying, normally if missile is fired, it will go up to a certain level where it is programmed. Then it will be connected to space satellite. It is the space satellite that will guide it to its own intended target. This is an outdated weapon now. They are still there, but they are outdated. With the emergence of hypersonic missile, all you need to do is to provide the whole map. Fit it. This is where I want you to target it. You tell it, and you simply press the button. It has the capability to fly to the altitude it wants. Decide when to strike. Even if anti-missiles coming, it has the ability to manipulate and escape these anti-missiles. And it can have multiple targets. You send one missile with 10 weapons, warheads. It will drop one here, drop one there, drop one, and come back. We call it multiple, independently targetable re-entry vehicle. Now, there are also what we call anti-missiles. The most sophisticated anti-missiles today is THAAD. THAAD is an acronym, meaning Terminal High Altitude Area Defense. Meaning, therefore, no matter how high a missile is coming, once it is targeted to a particular country, there are natural, just like if somebody looks at you from the way, the body language, if you have emotional intelligence, you know that this look is friendly, this look is aggressive, this look is about something about that. Now, these things, they have been given, today they have been inflicted, they have been programmed with what we call AI, artificial intelligence. From the point you fire, it will know once it is targeted to Japan, Japanese sensors will know. And the sirens in Japan will start blowing at least an hour before the missiles come. If Japan has anti-missiles, it will also fire. Then they'll meet in the space based on their own ability to manipulate, maneuver, and this. And if it is if your hypersonic is more sophisticated than the hypersonic, it will get to its target. If not, it will hit its target. They will collide in the space. And that is it. But what Iran did, I want to explain to people. What Iran did is what we call war arithmetic. War arithmetic is a situation where you want to target a country. You now send 30 drones or weapons. their sensors will calculate in less than 2 seconds their speed, their target, before they even get to your territory. Then they will meet those 30, collide with the whole 30. So in the mathematics of war is that you send the first 30, it will all be intercepted. You now, after an hour, you send another 30, they will all be intercepted. After another hour, you send another 30, they will all be intercepted. Now, the sensors there will be conditioned to only respond to 30. Then on your fourth attack, you send 30, after 30 seconds, you send another 30, after 30 seconds, you send another 30. The sensor will only read 30. Before it will now read the next 30 is more than 10 seconds. So the second and the third 30s will hit their target. That's what's in simple arithmetic. We call it war arithmetic. You will not know it in physics. It doesn't exist there. Sorry, sir. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
It's not really the physics.
A lady here.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Khadija Sanusi from the Department of Political Science. Thank you very much, Prof, for a wonderful presentation. It really reminded me of a lot of readings I did around Samuel Huntington's Clash of Civilization. And it also made me begin to think about what Nigeria should do about our energy, really. But the last comment you made around the weaponry and especially around the AI made me begin to think, is this a new transition for an economic model? If you're looking at what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz, you will see that now Iran has the monopoly of the oil already. So are we thinking of moving towards less oil and more technology, more AI? Or what is it all about? Thank you very much.
That's so very much. Thank you, Prof. My question is, Prof, for some of us that are not into the field of international relations and other conflict-related disciplines, and because of this war, certain concepts or terminologies have been used, for example, the Iron Dome, air defense mechanism, the ballistic missiles, and so on. Prof, I wanted to ask, with respect to Nigeria, in terms of these air defense mechanisms and so on, where are we, please? And because of this, now Prof, the second one is yes, because we can see how countries are doing well in terms of protecting the space. Now, the second question is, in the course of the presentation, Prof keep mentioning that the war is not over until it is over. So, Prof, I want to ask, when is this war going to be over? And then in terms of, is it in terms of when Israel is able to achieve the greater Israel, or when the Islamic Confederation is achieved? Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rabi Maisoki from the Department of Public Administration. My question is directly to the Prof. My questions are three. Prof, sir, at your last minute speech, you supported Iran to have nuclear. So, sir, don't you think that if Iran already had nuclear, it would have exploded it when Ayatollah Khamenei was killed, and the effect will have affected the whole world? That is number one question. Secondly, number two, sir, is it true that Iran reached 60% of its nuclear? What are the possibilities to complete the process if it had achieved? Lastly, number three, can USA, Israel, and their own allies accede to Iran proposal as a necessary condition to end the war? That are my questions. These are my questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay. My name is Abdullahi Arabi Suleiman, the runaway chairman. Sorry, we are having a workshop somewhere, so I had to run back to make a presentation before coming back again. I really wanted to stay put until I've heard all what Prof is going to talk about, because I have developed a keen interest when he started. And having the nuclear background, I was one time a director, research and nuclear infrastructure development at the Nigerian Atomic Energy Commission. My question is, who do you think, Prof, today, or which country do you think is the most powerful? Powerful in the sense that we have seen treaties such as the NPT, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, a treaty that is meant with some hidden things inside. I can say a treaty that protects others, left others vulnerable. A treaty that gives others power. And even after having that treaty, there was this NTBTO. Yeah, Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization. That treaty, that test ban is a treaty that is targeted at those that want to produce a nuclear weapon silently. Because if you produce, you would want to test. So that treaty protects the test of nuclear ban treaty. And in our families, we know the head of a family, the father, is the most powerful person in the family. Because if there is fighting, he can shout and he controls everyone. And that is the kind of power I think that will be able to bring the world back into order. Now that we have seen some reckless leaderships, and in their hands, we can see some powerful things that can do a lot of destruction. And to them, a leader or the most powerful person is the person that will make the most destruction. And I think that is not the way to go. So looking at all these scenarios, who do you think is going to emerge at the end of the day as the most powerful country? Prof, thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me begin. You see, no changes. You know, empires rises and fall. You know, countries can be great, and many of these empires have gone. The possibility of America, after coming out of the Cold War, claiming to have a new world order with more military preponderance and the advantage of the global use of dollar, it has more economic tentacles. But with this war, and with what we are watching, which of course you have been following, that Iran says you have to buy oil in the Chinese currency. From Europe, you have to buy oil from Euro. That is a deliberate attempt that countries can bypass the dollar. The reason is to make sure, make America know that even without a bullet, even without a nuclear, we can destroy your economy. So when dollars is bypassed, the value of the dollar will fall. And when it falls, American budget will be affected. And you know the consequences. The second question is about Iron Dome, these terminologies. Iron Dome is a defense system established by Israel, the state of Israel. It's a defense system, but it's air defense system. It is like a literary language. like a literal language, but it is a technical language. For example, the roof of this building can easily be penetrated. But if the building was roofed by very strong shield of iron, can it be penetrated? Now, when the Israelis established air defense system, they call it the Iron Dome, literally. But what it means technically is that no missile can come from outside and hit Israel. It will definitely be intercepted. My runaway chairman, okay, he started talking about this sensitive defense system, and I talked about it. If a missile is fired from anywhere, even if the whole of that area is asleep, in fact, even if you eliminate all the generals, the system is naturally designed to independently, fire itself and intercept any coming missiles. And that is why countries are always upgrading and making their own system more sophisticated. In war, there are two powers. There's what we call offensive power and defensive power. Offensive power is your ability to successfully attack. If you send a missile, it didn't get the target, you have not successfully attacked. It's not just about firing, but getting the target and getting the target properly. And the defensive system is if somebody attacks you, your ability to mitigate that attack, prevent it from touching any of your interests, is the defensive system. Right? Now, he talks about okay, he said it is not over until when it is over. Maybe it's a technical language. Let me break it down for you. This war you are seeing, it did not just start now. And it did not just start in 1979 after the revolution. This crisis started in 1917 with a revolution in Russia, the Bolshevik Revolution. The Bolshevik Revolution was a socialist revolution that overthrew the Tsar system. The Tsar is the dynasty and king. The king of Russia then was Tsar. The revolution overthrew Tsar and established the socialist regime in Russia. And the Bolshevik Revolution, they vowed and promised to expand, to internationalize the revolution. I mean, the philosophy of socialism, they will send it all over the world. And the US knows very well that its system, economic system and political system is based on what? Liberalism. Democratic system, liberal economic system to be determined by market forces, and there's no room for socialism. Now, that revolution ushered in a new actor in the international system that has never been known, which is the communist system. Though Russia and the other US and others fought on the same ground, on the same front, the Allied forces during the Second World War, but immediately after the war, both in Yalta and Potsdam, there were a lot of agreements, a lot of treaties. Unfortunately, America was interpreting its own treaty separate. Russia was also interpreting the same treaty different. So they got interlocked in conflict. And up to now, is what I'm saying, the target is not Iran. It's Russia, one. Secondly, the likely expansion and re-emergence, renaissance of the likely globalized Islamic empire. Right? Are you satisfied? Please remind me of.
I said, supported to have.
Yes.
I said, then you see Israel has already had a nuclear, which was exploded when I was killed.
You see, nuclear is not wallet that you carry it with you. Whenever you are attacked, it also exploits. And one of the secrets that I don't want to speak here, but I have to speak, is how secured nuclear weapons are. Nuclear arsenals, I can guarantee you, the control of nuclear weapon in the US, you Google and see, is complete prerogative of the president. As soon as a new president comes in, he's sworn in, he will go into the Oval Office. There is a small entry room like this. The previous president and the new president will enter, only two of them. He will show him the former code he's using. Just like ATM, you change your code. Show him the old code, put the end code, open the control and command. We call it CCU, Command and Control Unit of Nuclear Weapon. The old president will go out, use his own thumb, and the door will delete him. He will never ever open that place again until he becomes another president. Then the current president will use his thumb. The system will accept him as the new commander. Then he will put his own new code. He's the only person that has the right. Or without putting those codes, no nuclear weapon will be activated. And normally countries hide their nuclear weapons in areas that are not accessible. Some inside the sea, submarine. Some are in the space. Some are inside mountains. Some are far, about 7 stories down. So it is not something that if you attack somebody, you get, no. It's far from that. Nasiru. All right. Let me announce. Please, the gentleman who stood up is my friend and my former student. Maybe for those of you who are following social media, has been talking about weapon system and other things. So I personally invited him. He is a reservoir of world history. So after this, let him speak. Okay, welcome.
I'll give you only 3 minutes.
Hey, no problem. You're welcome. Okay.
As far as Professor Sir is talking about nuclear weapon, obviously nuclear weapon is horrific and dangerous. I heard Professor Yusuf speaking about the dead hand system of the former Soviet Union. But the horrific thing about the dead hand system is that 32,000 tactical nuclear warheads at disposal in the dead hand system. Meaning when you destroy all life in Russia, no survivor left, the dead hand system will activate, and it have the sensor and it will attack from the offensive. Meaning 32,000 nuclear warheads will just wake up and attack the enemy. That is the danger, 32,000 nuclear warheads. And the history of nuclear weapon started with the United States of America. It started in Manhattan Project in New York. Manhattan Project in New York. It produced a nuclear weapon, and it tested the first nuclear explosion was in July 16 in Alamogordo, north of Mexico. It exploded the first nuclear test in the world, which made it to become an assured nuclear country that possesses a nuclear weapon. So the next month was, the subsequent month was the month of August, while they were in the war with Japan and Germany, the Axis force. And in those days, Japan totally destroyed the American Navy in Hawaii, in Pearl Harbor. 2,400 American navies were utterly destroyed by Japan. So this angered American President Harry Truman, and he ordered the nuclear attack on first Tokyo. And the officials said, sir, if you attack Tokyo, this is a state, city which has a high culture with many people. So please, sir, it has a cultural heritage. He said, what is the next city? They said, Hiroshima. Then another, they said Nagasaki. He said, go and attack them. So they took Enola Gay, little boy on Hiroshima, Batman on Nagasaki. And the entire Japanese sky suffered radioactive debris. And the Japanese two main cities were utterly devastated. Nuclear is highly devastating. And the record is that the temperature released in that atomic weapon was 400,000 degrees Celsius. 400,000 degrees Celsius. That was released. So it continued. America became formidable in the world for possessing that power of nuclear or atomic weapon. Then it became a race. There was nuclear arms race. In 1949, Russia, Soviet Union possessed their own, and they manufactured massively. They manufactured more than 52,000 nuclear warheads in 1949, apart from thermonuclear and hydrogen bomb. Then followed by Britain in 1953. It possessed a nuclear weapon again. Then followed by France in 1958. Then by China in 1964. Then by Israel in 1967. Then by Pakistan, India in 1976. Then by India in 1974. Then by Pakistan in 1976. By North Korea in 2006. So through this arms race, there is nuclear proliferation. That's what we call horizontal proliferation of nuclear weapons, meaning countries having the access to possess and manufacture nuclear weapons. This has constituted a great danger to the globe, that the world now can be extincted within 50 minutes. With a nuclear essence, between all these 9 nuclear powers, the entire globe will be extincted. Human, animal, vegetable life will be extincted at all within 50 minutes. We are at risk, we are at danger.
I want to explain what he said and demonstrate. If you have a block, the block like that, right? Just like a football. Then you have when the football until it reaches the center, what in geography said, molten magma, right? The central core of Earth. And you pack all the nuclear weapons and put them inside that mob and detonate it. The way the world will scatter will be 3 times more than if you take a fresh egg, uncooked egg, and smash it on the ground. It will wipe out humanity, civilization. You cannot distinguish between a mountain and a river. All waters on earth will evaporate. And no humanity will survive, no civilization will, it will remain like that for the next 1 billion years. Nothing will exist. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think Prof have said it. I just want to add 2 things. I think with respect to the nuclear attack. You see, the nuclear attack is working on the principle of chain reaction. Chain reaction. So maybe not scientifically, there is always a route. For ignition or activation of that particular activity, you need to remove the root. If you remove the root, there's a series of chain reaction will happen. That's why it is safe. If you did not remove that root, it will not actually continue having that chain reaction. And I think a very quick one, Prof have answered with respect to ballistic and hypersonic. They take the name of its activity. Ballistic is the pattern with which it follows. That is like a projectile. And then it's used to convey the bomb. So it takes the path from, but if it is hypersonic, then the speed at which it is moving, equivalent to speed of sound, which is 340 meters per second. That is how the name comes into play. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. 1 minute. Yes. Take the mic.
Okay, Prof, thank you so much for the presentation. Mine is just on the issue of propaganda and by the 2 countries. I want to know if the information that is circulating among us is not true. we in the Nigeria or in Kano we always apply sentiment in trying to say always Iran is winning. So I want the professor to please give us a statistic for the effect of this almost this war in terms of infrastructure that has been destroyed, the human lives, even the missile that has been sent, as well as the economy. I know you have talked so much about the economy, but can we have this kind of statistics presently to disabuse the mind of our people? And finally, is this Netanyahu alive or is dead? Because a lot of information is circulating. Thank you.
Normally, propaganda is part of foreign policy. Generally, countries say much more than what they do or what they have. To let you understand what propaganda is, let me illustrate it with my state, Taraba State. Everybody knows it's agriculturally fertile. I was once called to give a talk about the state agricultural fertility. I said, I'm not an agriculturist. I'm a political scientist, but I will use political agriculture to say this up. Now, I said the fertility of soil in my state, Taraba, if you want to test it, don't go to any laboratory. Cut your fingernails, dig the soil, put your fingernails, look at your stopwatch, 10 minutes after, your fingernail will grow because of the fertility of the soil. I have said the truth, but it's a propaganda. It's showing that my state is so fertile that nowhere on earth that you can cultivate and get the highest yield than my state. So I'm attracting more farmers to come to my state. That is the scenario of propaganda. Many countries, they claim what is not there. We have had Trump promising, threatening, and doing all. Since this 12-day war, let me tell you, the first 12-day war between Israel, they knew very well at a pull-up on the 10th day, Israel almost ran out of interceptors. So America had to quickly call other countries to bring the war to an end. Otherwise, these countries, they have intelligence information. And there's something I don't want to say. I don't want to say it here. It's very technical. I will not say it here. No. I will not say it. No, it's very sensitive. It's not everywhere you say everything. Globally, there is a position that you reach. If you say something, it can be utilized. So in my own position, whatever I say here can be internationalized. You get the point? So the point here is that propaganda is an instrument of foreign policy. During the war, each time, how can you attack a military base, destroy the military base, and say only 3 wounded people? Does it make sense? If you tell my 2-year-old son, he will disagree. No, missile is not a spare. What the Iranians are using now, the Americans and the Israelis never thought of it. We call it cluster bombs. One bomb, you fire one missile. As soon as it senses anti-missile is coming, it will spread itself into various explosives. And all these explosives will go, leaving only the missile. So the anti-missile will only hit an empty shell. So, but we all know it's propaganda, and everybody engages in this war propaganda. And the last question you asked about, the sentiment of our people is natural. Even at the point of beginning this lecture, I said I want to be very objective as a social science student, but it is definitely not possible for me to speak the way natural science speaks. If you want to test the green leaf, you boil the green leaf, add iodine, it will turn dark blue. Do that in Russia, it will give you the same result. Take it to Saudi, you get the same result. Do it in Kano, in Jalingo, any part of the world. For long as you follow this process, it will give you the same result. Social science is not like that. There are different perspectives. Do you understand? That's the question. Thank you so much.
I remind you.
Oh, it's not a young car. It's a live video.
And what you say,
Okay.
all if you are current, Iran is winning this war. It's not about, as one, it's not about the mass of destruction that look at the political, the economic, and so many things. The ability to even strike back. Because the whole idea of the war is after the first day, after the assassination of the Ayatollah, the people will rise, take over the government, and within 4 days everything will be finished. That was the plan. But you can see how things have changed. So it's not about sentiment, it's about the ability. And why Iran is able to strike back. To strike back. I understood one thing. Iran has invested so much in education. That's what Iran did. So much. They have the highest literacy rate and the highest number of people who have PhD in the whole of the Middle East. Women in particular, they are into science production. And I now come to understand why they say education and everything will change. So I think yes, those are part of the project of our final year students. And you can see they use the economic cost. The amount of money America and Israel are using is not to that. So I think they had a very good strategy. I think at each time we call Malam Murtala, Dr. Murtala, Masa Mumaru Butani, a quite short point to celebrate this presentation.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. While Professor Jiddere was making his presentation, I keep on asking myself, what is the place of environment in this discussion? We could see when we are talking of war, we give emphasis to life, we give emphasis to economy, we give emphasis to politics, but the supplies comes from the environment. And the destruction is also happening to the environment. Air quality has been seriously deteriorated. A lot of noise, and remember the metals and even all the chemicals that are used are also being exploited from the environment. And I think as talking environment, while we were organizing this lecture, we are very much aware of that. And that is why you could see the combination. The material come from the earth, the geology. And the physics are the people at the center of making and developing the weapons. But politics play a significant role when it comes to what should do, what should go where, and all the noise is a political and economic issue. So when Prof mentioned the the homers, I just quickly scramble some lines, and here it goes. If the Nile versus Egypt, and Niger names a nation, if Hormuz arms a power, then man is neither a slave nor a master. He is but a child of location. A child ought to serve, supposed to save. A mother he shall help. Alas, he destroys. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this.
It's a good one.
That is a proper Professor Jiddere, particularly to political science students, and probably
Western geography student who want to explore this area that is willing to provide support. If you want to expand, write a paper, or do something else, it's always open. You can reach out to me, and we'll be willing to provide a lot of support. Thank you, Prof. You give closer remark and what you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Widen and Prof. The whole issue started when I heard Prof discussing about his presentation in the Central Mosque and how he's been trying to discuss this since the first 12-day war. And I silently went and met him. I said, we have a talking environment in our faculty. He said, excellent. And that was how we are here today. Prof, we thank you very much for coming to speak with us in our faculty. With regards to this topic, it was a discourse that is timely. It should have even come earlier than this, but better late than never. And with the crop of people gathered from the geo to the physics and to the political economy aspect and to capture international relation, I think justice has been done to this presentation. So on this note, I want to say a very big thank you to Professor Abubakar Jiddere for coming here to discuss this interesting topic. I want to also say thank you to Professor Abdullah Suleiman Arabi, the chair of the occasion, for taking his time out of the busy schedule. Today they are hosting a training and he still endeavored to come and attend. We say a very big thank you for chairing. And to Dr. my brother Usman Ibrahim Muhammad, the discussant, we say a very big thank you for grazing or accepting this even within the very shortest time to be part of the discussion. I want to say also a big thank you to Professor Ajia. He's one of the first people that came here, and I truly was so impressed and honored that he showed up within the first period of the time. Thank you very much, Professor, for being here. And to all other people who came, I did not hold the names, but we want to say a very big thank you. And a special thanks to, a special thanks to the friend of Professor Jiddere, who he specially invited to come, who took us to the historical perspective of nuclear listing. We thank you for honoring this occasion. And a very big thank you also to the Talking Environment Committee who made it happen. We truly appreciate it. And to everyone who took their time to come here, we say a very big thank you for coming, and we wish everyone a safe journey back to their various homes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Someone is right here.
School.